All right. Welcome to On Topic with Stephanie and Nicole. Today we are going to share all this valuable, wonderful information on living generously, on how it can make a difference in your life. So, Stephanie, do you have a quote?
I do have a quote. Thank you so much. I want to start off though by telling you one thing. Every single time we meet and we talk about a topic, before like going into it, we're spending a week like really diving into that one topic. This topic stretched my mind once again.
Really? Cool.
I'm like, I thought I had a really good understanding, but once I started going down the deep dive hole of the old generosity topic, I was just like, this is so cool. So,
Right.
let's see. My quote is, "You have not lived today until you have done something for someone who can never repay you." John Bunyan.
Bunyan.
Yeah.
Mine is, I am guilty of all the good I do not do. And that's kind of a translation quote from Voltaire. So, because he's like, something about every man is guilty of all the good they do not do. And so I just changed it a little.
Okay. There we go. Okay, tell me about your book.
The book is Infectious Generosity, The Ultimate Idea Worth Spreading by Chris Anderson.
Okay, I love it. Any like super top points?
No, I mean, just mostly it'll all come out through, I'm gonna hit some studies, benefits, and that kind of stuff. So
Okay, cool. My book is The Coffee Bean. Do you know anything about
yes.
that?
Oh yeah, I read it. I went to a nursing home and read it on National Book Day.
Yeah.
So, or yeah, it was either National Book Day or National Coffee Day. And I came in and 40 men and women circled around and drank coffee, and they had pastries, and I read The Coffee Bean to them. Very good book.
Yeah, easy to read, fast, totally about generosity. And then I want to drop one more on you. It's called Put a Cherry on Top
Ooh.
I forgot, that's by Joyce Russell with Sarah Davis. Coffee Bean, of course, is by John Gordon and David West. I don't think you could go wrong with reading any of John's books, though, right?
No. Yeah.
Oh,
The Energy Bus is another good one.
yes.
And Libby's class, they have, because there's a children's version of the Energy Bus. And so a few times Libby's been the CEO, the chief energy officer at
Love
school.
So. Well deserved. Good job, Lib.
Yeah. So tell me I want to hear about this Cherry on Top book. I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay, Cherry on Top is about the authenticity and courage in the workplace and being generosity or being generous and how it deals with happiness. Obviously, your generous attitude could be the cherry on top of everything else you already do.
Yeah.
So I want to work with cherry on top people.
Totally.
I mean, if you can bring me some ice cream for the cherry, that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, it came out during the pandemic. So interesting time because that was not very fun. But yeah, that's cherry on top. I also have a podcast.
Okay.
And this is the one, it kind of like goes more into the history of it. It was done by a gentleman who runs foundations and how they give out their money. So obviously he has something to do with other people's generosity. And it's called Generosity at Work, but it doesn't mean like generosity in your job. It just means like how generosity works.
Okay.
And so I'll drop that link in here. It's only about 7 episodes, which is perfect for me. But also everything he said, I was going to like, oh my gosh, I want to add this. I want to add this. I want to add this.
Yeah. I have to check that out. I'm not familiar with that.
Okay. And he pointed out that there are 5 levels of generosity.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to jump into those now?
I do. I want to hear about your level. I want to level up.
Oh, level up, right? So the lowest one is acts of kindness, but also like the easiest, right? So lowest buy-in. The second is giving. So that would be like the volunteering, your time, stuff like that, pro bono work, donating or raising money for a cause. The third level that he calls out is advocacy. And so going out on someone else's behalf and advocating for them. The fourth one, this is really fast, but you should definitely take in the podcast if you want to know all, like deep dive into this. The fourth one is self-sacrifice. As far as generosity goes, and the fifth is love.
Okay.
On the levels of generosity. So
Very cool. Yeah, I'm gonna
I
listen
had
to that.
never seen them done like that before, so that was
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, I'm ready for yours. Go.
All right. So of course, I'm gonna first talk about a couple studies. And there was a study done in Switzerland in 2017 that showed that even the thought of being generous changes your brain. Like it changes the way you think. There's 3 different parts of your brain that measure generosity type things.
Okay.
And so they told 50 people that they were going to get $100 over the course of a week, and 25 of them could spend it on themselves, and 25 spend it on someone they knew. And when they brought them in before they even spent the money or got the money, they already saw those pieces of the brain firing differently in the ones who knew they were going to give the money away.
Okay.
And then after it was done, then it was even higher activity and stuff in the brain of the people who gave the money away. So that shows that just even thinking about it starts wiring things differently. And then another study stated that high generous people are 23% more likely to be satisfied with their lives, happier with their relationships, jobs, possessions, all that kind of stuff. They view life more optimistically and are more proud of who they are.
Amen.
And there you go. And so some other benefits are better health. They live longer. Generous people live longer. More relaxed, and they find that being generous is just as effective on lowering your blood pressure as exercise and medication. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you to get rid of your blood pressure medication, but there is a correlation.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not just about giving away your belongings and everything that you've worked for.
We'll
But
get into that too. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So don't do that either. I'm your financial advisor. Okay. Done. Okay, next.
Okay, and so then I'm going to talk about exercise. So there's this guy named, I think I'm saying it right, Chade Ming. He's Google employee number 107. And he created this groundbreaking mindfulness based emotional intelligence activity for employees. And like huge impact, all this kind of stuff, but it takes 10 seconds. And so what they do is they would come into the room. It's called the joy of loving kindness. They come into this room and you have to think of 2 people and wish them happiness. That's it. Takes 10 seconds. And everyone always leaves smiling, happier, lighter. And so they found that that's just really effective. So when you're feeling down or anything, just think of 2 people that you want to send happiness to. And that's something, I made a little reel or something about it not too long ago called my snooze to-dos. And so I do something similar to this, but what I do is that moment of time from when you hit snooze to when you wake up. I think of 2 people that I'm grateful for. I think of 2 people that I want to send happiness to, and then I start going through my day. And they find that when you do that, it prevents the you getting back into that slow wave sleep and that kind of stuff. And so I try to remember to do that instead of just hit snooze and fall asleep again. I try to get my mind going with those kind of thoughts.
Yeah, and then it's just like visualizing for 5 seconds.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Couple
that
minutes,
sounds fun. I want to try it.
Yes.
Certainly, I live in the gratitude world, but I've never done the happiness part, like generosity.
Yep. I've done meditations before in the past where you've had to think of someone and wish them well, or think of someone and wish them healing and that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of power in taking your mind off of yourself and putting on other people. In return, you can feel better. So I know that's a big thing for me. The more I can focus on others, the better I physically feel. So I got to work on that a little more.
Yeah, but you're a huge giver too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'll get to that in a second. Like when we live generously, we feel rich. And that made me think of my grandpa's funeral. My uncle said he was the richest poor man he'd ever met. And that was true. Like my grandpa was the happiest and he gave everything. If you came over, you left with something. And my aunt is kind of like that too. Even if I ran into her one time in the elevator where I go to the chiropractor and she pulled something out of her purse and gave it to me, that's just how she is. And that's how my grandpa was. So we just don't have to give away money though. And that's where,
Okay.
like what you said, you don't, as your financial
That's right.
advisor,
That's
we don't
right.
want you to give away just your money. So you can volunteer, like you brought that up before. And that's really important for people who are 65 or older, because it creates a source of social connection and it releases dopamine. You can be a mentor. You can share knowledge. You can start a video podcast like this and just share things. Send a note, say hello, smile. I mean, and those things kind of go on your levels too, of the 5 levels. And then the most important thing is don't be so generous that you give yourself away.
Oh, yeah. Always find someone to fill up your bucket.
Yep. Yeah. There you
Yeah.
go. That's all I got.
Okay, I love that. I have maybe 2 other points, but sometimes generosity, that's where we think of, whether it's tithing or physically giving money away. But could you imagine if you asked someone to come over and I just like to cook you a meal.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, can I help you with that one thing you've been wanting to do for a long time? And reminds me of my cousin Nicole. Her and her friends all gather together on Monday or Sunday night or Monday night, and they call it Move It Forward. Well, it must be Monday. Move It Forward Monday.
Okay.
And so they spend like a minimum of 2 hours and they go to each other's houses and do the tasks that they didn't want to do alone. So there's been a lot of painting, there's been a lot of reorganizing kitchen cabinets.
Wow, it's like the honey to-do lists that never get done, so they just do it themselves together.
Yes, together. And she's like, it's been a total game changer. And I don't know if they'll continue it through the summer months, but certainly in the winter, we're not really interested in, going shopping or going out to the bar or going out to do everything else. So then they just plan where they're going to go. And then that person will have a list ready. Like I would do someone else's, sweeping before I'd want to do mine. And I think that just goes to the level of generosity, and it's an act of kindness, but it's also love.
Yeah.
And so
it's
like
all 5 levels.
It's like giving away those loves. So yeah, cook a meal, and then sharing knowledge or giving others a platform. And that one I wrote down just from listening, and reading and reflecting. It's like, what do I have that someone needs to learn about that's also in my network? And so I'm going to work on that too.
Yeah.
Being generous with my platform.
Very cool.
Yeah. But I also want to say, like, did you know that America is becoming less generous statistically by dollars?
I can believe that.
Yep. So there's that. And I also kind of challenge everyone to think about a one-way or a two-way street generosity. And you hit it straight on the head, and it should make you feel good, and it will make you feel good. It'll make you look good. But it has to, in order for it to be pure generosity and create the most amount of happiness, it must do good for others and it can cause no harm. And I think that that's kind of where we're at. Like, oh, I paid for the coffee behind me. Okay.
Yeah.
Then what? And so that's what the podcast, the guy who's creating and building pools of generous people, that's what he said. He's like, I never really wanted the unintended harm. And I think that happens sometime. Whether it's well, I don't have to think about this big thing anymore because I did this nice thing over here. I gave away $1,000. So now I'm free from whatever. Mm, it's not really how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think tithing is important and donating is important, and I definitely give away more money than I should. But back in the day before I had very much money, I gave away my time because
Most precious resource, though.
yeah, yeah, and it made me feel better. So giving away my time and helping people made me feel better than just giving away my money.
Do you ever think that by giving away your time, you did tasks for other people that they should have done themselves?
I guess, if I really sat down and looked at it, I'm sure I could find some situations like that. But when I give, I have no expectations of what they should be doing or,
Okay, gotcha.
that kind of stuff. I think there's a quote out there. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but something, if you give with expectations, that's a transaction, not generosity. And
Yeah, I'm
Lenny the
just
dog agrees.
that's funny. Hey, Lenny. Um, it's just like I don't want to take away someone else's learning opportunity by just doing it for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, you live, you learn, and then you watch On Topic. All right. Anything else
There
for
you go.
today?
That's all I got.
Okay, perfect. Well, we would love it if you could like, share, or comment. Tell us what's going on. What did you like? What do we need to spend the next 20 minutes talking about for our On Topic with Nicole and Stephanie?
See you next time.
Thanks so much for watching.